Regina,
Reggie,
congratulations.
thank you.
You can only do things one way, huh? If it's not good, you can't do it unless you knock it out the park, huh?
Well, I think that is subjective, depending on who you ask.
I understand that, but anyway, okay, let me start my interview. But
It feels so funny, because we've known each other for so long to try to enter something and be formal is just
it's not possible. We're just going to be us because I think, and hopefully people will enjoy that. But watching it and loving it, I really had some questions. When did you become a professional in show business? When did you first getting paid to work in entertainment?
Well, I feel like I have to include being a background actor. So those were the first things that I did. I used to do extra work on Different Strokes and Silver Spoons. So it started there, but I was taking acting classes and doing plays and things like that prior to that. But those were the first checks that came in with my name on them.
Well, that's amazing. It has to be encouraging to a ton of folks who work in background. One day they could be you winning Oscars, Emmys, and directing movies. You are the definition of there are no ceilings. That's beautiful. And at what point in your career did you decide, I also want to direct?
That's a good one. Because I feel like I feel like I probably subconsciously knew that I wanted to direct maybe 5 or 6 years before I started saying it out loud. Mm-hmm. I feel like I think, because when I think back on it, I definitely was very intrigued by directors. And then honestly, Reggie, if I think even further to 227 Days,
right?
Where I love Garen Keith, where most of our directors were men. The first time we had a woman director, Ellen Chassett Falcon, it was kind of there's a such thing as women director. So I think that was the first kind of, that RKO dog look like.
Right.
I paid attention to that. And then after Ellen, I had not seen, or really, probably the next time I was really aware of a woman being a director might have been Debbie Allen, Uzanne Palsy, so I know that definitely, those were impacts that were made. Sometimes things are touching you in a really deep way, but you don't really realize it. I'm very clear that all of those women hit me in a very deep way because they were anomalies almost to me. In some regard. And then when I started saying it out loud and really paying attention to it, might have been somewhere around Enemy of the State. When I started, and probably just my experience of having worked with Cameron Crowe and John Singleton and Tony Scott. And I guess the reason why I say those three, being so different as far as style and approach, it just started kind of landing for me that, that there's so many different approaches. They all have a command presence, but their command presence is so different and their communication styles are so different. And I dig that. and I see that they are in control, and I really dig that.
Well, you know, you answered a couple of questions that were in my mind, which is I always think for an actress like yourself, right, who has a fantastic career, you're working all the time, and you decide to direct, I keep going, or are you being inspired by great directors, or are you saying, I'm fed up with these terrible directors, I could just do it myself?
Maybe not as far as I could just do it myself. I don't think that took the thought that far, but I would say that I learned just as much from directors that weren't good as I learned from directors that were outstanding.
Sure, I think we all, you have that positive and negative experience that teaches us all a lot. I always feel that actors have a real advantage when it transitioning to directors, because you've been on so many sets. As you said, you work with so many different people and so many different styles. And boy, you named the 3 films. If you know, when I put together Regina King Film Festival, those films all have to be in it. You know, I mean, I think about Enemy of the State a lot, you know, because you and Will, I just was so excited when you appeared on screen. I was like, oh, good choice. I just remember being really excited by your casting, right? And then you did great. I mean, of course, you lived up to being Regina King in that film, and all 3 of those movies. I mean, those are a really powerful triptych of 3 really different roles, like you say, really 3 different films, but all I feel are quintessentially you. I mean, for you working, that cast just makes me laugh. You, Janet Jackson, and Tupac, and John Singleton. I just keep, oh my God. Like that experience. And then, you know, God, anyway, you've made so many amazing movies with amazing actors, amazing directors, and you're just storing all that up. And you're like,
honestly, Reggie, that's exactly. I felt like I was going to school, even though I was not actually signing up for a class. You know what I mean? Or applying at a college or university. I feel like it was all school, and I'm lucky that I was able to receive it that way, you know, while having the experience. So I don't know that that's the case for every actor, director, but for me, it certainly was. I was aware at a certain point that I was training, I was learning, I was taking it in, I was asking questions, and I've been so lucky to have had directors that have been so supportive and so excited and willing to answer questions and willing to pull the curtain back.
yes.
You know, because there's, you know, for the audience, they just see the finished product, and there's a lot happening behind the curtain. And for the actor as well, it is our job to just truly make it about us, because you're becoming someone else. So it's very easy to not pay attention to any of the things that are going on except for your scene partner or whatever the relationship is with the director and the wardrobe designer, you know, and maybe your property master, because your props are very important as well. But that's usually like the extent of the in-depth communication that you're having with other people that are part of the filmmaking process. But as a director, you are having, it's so much so many more people that you have to be in tune with and that have conversations with and express your vision and allow them to take that vision that you express and then bring their ideas to it. And it's so much fun. It is, and it's so terrifying at times. And it's also not very pretty. And a lot of people don't see that. And as an actor, a lot of things are kept from you. You don't know when things are imploding around. You're just showing up to set and you're like, hitting your mark and trying to get the emotion. You don't know that just an hour ago, the permit was pulled. Things just don't land in your space as an actor. And so when I had directors that were willing to pull that curtain back and tell me, okay, this is what you want to do, but I want you to see all of it. And then not all directors are that giving. I've been lucky enough to have been in that position with most of the directors I've worked with.
That's beautiful. When you made that transition and you start seeing all the other parts, what was the biggest aha? Was it, oh, I'm sitting in the editing room? Oh, now I see why you picked that tape, even though I didn't like it. I mean, what was the? Oh.
Two ahas. That one, the editing room, absolutely. As an actor, you're like, I know I did a better take, or either, I thought it was different. I felt my intention was something else. And you find in the editing room, some scenes, sometimes the entire story is different than what you set out to tell. Mm-hmm. In the case of this film, where perhaps a moment that didn't seem, so like you go into a scene, mm-hmm. and there's certain questions as an actor you ask yourself, but as a director, you're looking at where a character, where they were, where they're going, where the other characters that they're related to, where they've been, where they're going, how this scene may connect them. What is the intention of this scene? And whose perspective is this scene being told from? Sometimes you get in the editing room and you go, oh, yeah, that's not Sam's scene. That's Cassius's scene. This is through, Cassius's lens. And having an amazing editor, Tarek Anwar, was great. He did the King's Speech, and what he did with the King's Speech, I felt like tonally there were some similarities between the story that I wanted to tell with One Night in Miami and King's Speech. So he was very great at discovering little things that, because you're plowing through as a director, these little nuanced moments that are being captured when you're focusing on creating a nuanced moment somewhere else in the scene. And that was one aha moment for me. And I started feeling that as I was directing television. Mm-hmm. So that discovery came there. And then also my respect for a director as an actor it just changed totally. I had no idea as an actor, and even as an aspiring director, shadowing directors and talking to directors, the amount of psychology you have to lean on, and different styles of communication within a day that you have to employ. No idea No idea. So after I directed the first thing, and I got back to work as an actor, I was like, so where do you want me? Do you, where, just, I had no questions. I had no challenges for the director. So those were two big aha moments for me.
Mm-hmm. Those are big ones. I hear you. I always feel I'm not an actor, but occasionally I'll do a cameo in one of my movies, or some innocent fool will have me appear in their movie. And I always warn them, you can get someone better, truly. But I love doing it because doing it at whatever amount deepens my respect and gratitude for the craft. And I just go, thank God for actors. Thank God for the greatness of actors, because, oh my God, it's impossible. How do you do that? It's like magic. So I'm a big believer in everyone switching roles every once in a while, just to really appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think also, Reggie, I think that goes across other departments as well. Just, I mean, you know, as a director, which actors we don't do. Some actors do, but I can't say that I wouldn't say, I can't lie and act like I was an actor that would actually sit in with other departments and really absorb all of the, everything that they do before they land on set. Mm-hmm. And how deep the research goes. And, you know, you really are able to respect it as a director, because, you know, we're doing all of our research as a director, as directors, but, you know, your production designer, your props department, you know, they'll come in and find these little jewels that you go, wow, like, and you wonder, how did I miss that in my research? But, you know, they'll find things, and it just makes you go, oh, thank God for you. You're just brilliant. And you really gain respect for all the different departments, and you realize very quickly, actor turned director, that, gosh, there's no such thing as doing it on your own.
Yeah.
You know?
I tell you, you captured exactly how I feel. Sometimes they will, I mean, I feel like every department is making their movie, right? So it's like, okay, can all of us make the same movie? That's my job, is to make sure that hair and makeup and wardrobe and camera are all making the same movie.
Yeah.
And you're right. They will be so tight, you will feel raggedy. You'll be, you just saved the movie with that prop. Oh my God. Thank you. Let me ask you about how you chose this film to be your feature film debut. What about this material said, no, this is it for me?
A few things. One, I read Kemp's script, and for me, it was a love letter to the Black man in America. As I dug deeper, I realized it was a love letter to Black men across the world, because I do feel like the themes in this story resonate for Black men. Have this experience, you know, everywhere, you know. And so for me, I was like, this is a very private conversation, and that's going to be happen publicly. And it needs to be, because when you look at the totality of cinema, I feel like more often than not, Black men are misrepresented. They're not as complex or all the layers that I know, that I grew up with, that I smell, love, and breathe. And the vulnerabilities, the vulnerable moments. And I think a lot of times, just for men in general, when it comes to storytelling, aren't always embraced. And those moments when they are, those are the films, those are the stories that we all fall in love with. And Black men very rarely get to have that. And so here's an opportunity to tell a story with icons that everyone thinks they know, but forgets first, before any of what you think you know or thought you know, they were Black men in America, and no matter how huge they were, you're looking at them as like a deity or a luminary, that they have experienced being reminded that they are less than because of the color of their skin. So it just hit me in a whole bunch of ways like that. And then it hit me as an actor. I was like, oh my God, I would want to play any of these.
Right.
Really would want to play Malcolm X or Sam Cooke, but geez, this is just an actor's dream. All 4 of these roles is an opportunity for an actor to lose themselves. And I'm an actor. So if I'm going to step out in this world, I've been preparing all this time on television for this moment. Girl, you better play to your strengths.
Oh my God. Well, yes, and you did. Now it's interesting because you got 4 absolute legends, right? All of whom have feature films about them, right? 2 scripted, 2 documentaries, but they are all worthy of 2 hours of time and then some, right? So you've got so much life you're packing in, right? So much to cover. Did you make a lot of changes when you went from the stage play to the feature film script?
As a play and as a screenplay, the thing that Kemp did that was so smart is to not try to tell us, have a biography about all of these men. It's impossible. You can't do that. But to write a story that is a conversation that I, as a Black man, am having when I was when I was a young man in college, and what young men are having still now today. Now that's a story that those people are interchangeable. You know what I mean? As far as they can have different backgrounds, but they have one similar experience. Mm-hmm. But bringing those 4 together, now they have 2 similar experiences. They are, legends in the making, and they're all aware of that in this moment. So I think because he decided, as it's going into it as a play, to not make it about how they got to where they were in this moment, but about the moment in, specifically, was smart and made it focus and made it a little more linear, if you will. Mm-hmm. But I also feel like what he did that is not in the play is he does like these 4 mini prologues. Mm-hmm. And what he did was give you just a little, for those people who aren't quite familiar with who they are, just a little bit of something to let you know who they are, but still also, we meet them in a moment when they're getting kicked, when they're at a low, You know what I mean? And that was very smart on his part. And then from there were just some, once, you know, it got into me and Kemp and I were talking, there were just little things that we decided to add into the script that we just felt like he just added to the humanity. Like one, for example, is the moment when Malcolm's on the phone, and he's that scene was there, but originally him talking to his daughter wasn't there. Mm-hmm. And I had been in conversations with Ambassador Shabazz, not Malcolm's eldest daughter, and just, you know, talking to her, and we talk about so many things, and she had mentioned to me about, I guess, just talking to her, I got so much of a sense of Malcolm as a father. And I felt like that was just so important. I don't feel like as much as we love Malcolm, we honor and his words we still live by and are inspired by to this day. We don't get a chance to really see the husband and the father. And so she was just sharing some things with me, and I was like, do you mind if I lean into this in this story? And she was like, oh, no, we're just talking, Regina, absolutely, you know. So I shared it with Kemp, and we agreed that we want to see Malcolm smile. We want to see Malcolm loving, because we know that that's who he is. And so little things like that we kind of infused in there.
Yeah, I agree. Such a powerful moment, and you're right. He was such a dad, and those photographs of him with his daughters and Ali with his daughters. Those are, to me, photographs that are just so touching.
They really are. They really are, and I think that those of us who are sons, daughters, fathers, mothers that have good relationships with our children or with our parents really relate to that. So those images, I think, no matter who you are, no matter what color you are, if you are a mother or father or son or daughter that has that loving connection, you don't even have to hear the words. All you have to do is see his smile, look in his eyes, look in their eyes, and go, wow, yeah, that's love.
Well, the moment for me was he gets home and Betty's already put the kids to bed. And he was like, what? And I'm like, woo, I've had 2 years of that.
Yeah.
The heartbreak of you got there a half hour too late. So
got there a half hour too late. And then the beauty of the wonderful actress that played Betty, Joaquina, she, you know, when at first she's like, you know, you're late, you know, but then knowing the partnership between Betty and Malcolm, that she was a partner, and her ability to just quickly say, you can put them together to bed tomorrow night, just very lovingly, very simply, subtly.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I loved it. Now, of those 4 men, only one is still alive, which is Jim Brown. Did you get a chance to talk to Jim?
I have not had the chance to talk to Jim. I know we have sent the film for him to see. Have not heard back from Jim. You know, Jim, well, from what we see now in interviews, seems to be a very different Jim than the Jim in 63, 64, the time we're capturing. So I'm very curious to see what his response is going to be. So far, his family and everyone seemed to be very supportive. The actress that played Sonny Liston's wife is actually Jim's daughter.
Oh no, that's great.
Yes. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. I finally got to meet Jim when I was doing The Black Godfather. And you know, you heard him walk down the stairs, we're all excited. Then he walked in, he looked like Zeus, right? He looked like a Greek god.
Man.
And I looked at his hands and all I could think was, I never want those hands to touch me. He looked like right now, he could wreck you.
Look, Reggie, I got a chance to meet Jim maybe about 15 years ago. Like, I put it to you like this. We were going to his house to screen something, someone that we are having common mutually. Mm-hmm. She was screening something, and I can't remember what it was. And it was maybe about 15 of us there, and we're sitting in his, I guess, theater room. Mm-hmm. And then he comes in, and Jim scared me. Like, he didn't do anything mean or anything like that. But his presence is just like, whew. I was like, okay, all right, it's time. It's time to watch. You know, it's like...
Time to watch. No, it's serious business. I mean, if he was running at me on a football field, I go, yes, sir, just right this way.
Yeah.
You're supposed to block him. No, I'm not blocking that. I'm not blocking the freight train. I'm good.
And I think that that's the beautiful thing about Aldis's portrayals, because he was, to me, he just embodied what Jim Brown to us would have had to be to do all of the things that he was doing off the field. Mm-hmm. and still have that presence. Like when you look at some of those interviews, like that interview of him with that governor on the Dick Cavett show, mm-hmm. and he's just so poised, but he's still Jim Brown. But he's almost charming. And this governor is saying all these disrespectful things, and Jim never unravels, never loses his cool. And I have to believe that Aldis used a few of those moments that are out there of Jim to just find a way to, in this story, make Jim feel approachable, because so often people feel like, well, the moments that we have with them, like, whoa, I am shit. How you doing, Mr. Brown? But we needed to see again the humanity and how Jim Brown is with his friends.
Well, you got that on so many different levels. To me, the scene where he's at the front door. And we feel the size, right? I mean, Aldis brings it, right? Just standing there, right? He brings it at the front door. And he's talking to this man. And I'm waiting for this man to say something that makes me want to slap him, right? But Jim's cool. And you just go, oh, wow, how can you be so cool? You know it's going to go left. And so you had that feeling of control. And then I love when he and Ali were squaring off in the hotel room. Because who else can even have the courage to square off with the heavyweight champ but him? And I'm just like, oh, Lord, this is incredible.
Yeah. I mean, Aldis was great with that, we didn't have a lot of time to block and rehearse, which was something we all would have loved to do, but it was just very difficult with the schedules of all four actors.
Sure.
To get, I mean, they were coming from different countries, and it was a lot. But just that's what, when you are able, I'm so proud of the cast, and I knew which each of them, when I casted them after the audition and in conversations, that I knew that what I had in them was that they believed, as well as I did, that they were not caricatures. They were not going in there as who could do the best impersonation of. And when I identified that in those four actors, and there's little things that they do that are Jim, since we're talking about Jim right now, just a little laugh, chuckle that Aldous did throughout, or even when they're coming from the fight and they're on the way to the room, and Jim is like, "Who's the champ? Who's the champ? I thought I was the champ." Just those little moments and ad libs that were put in that just make you forget that you're watching an actor. You're in the story.
Right. Well, I love the moment when Ali was bouncing on the bed, and it's a boyishness, right? He's the heavyweight champ, but I got energy, and you just go, man, I've never seen Ali do it, but it felt completely right.
Yeah. They all knew. I mean, Eli, and there's several little moments, and he'll say, there were times where he wanted to have kind of a more mature perspective when it came to a delivery of something. And I would have to say, yeah, I feel you. Yes, Cassius was wise beyond his years, but he's 22. He's 22. Think back to when you were 22. And then think about, not only is he 22, he's a showman. And so what does he do when he knows how to change the energy in the room by being a showman? It's not necessarily taking the time to think that, you're not thinking in this moment about the 4 girls that were bombed in that church. That's not in this moment. Mm. So, he was very, very much wanting to Eli to embody Cassius, but very much he was willing to allow me to make sure that you can't forget this is one night. Mm-hmm. And in this night, we as an audience get to witness a transformation that happened within Cassius. Probably, I'd like to believe that Jim Brown, Sam Cooke, and Malcolm X, once we as a world got to know Muhammad Ali, it's those big brothers that infused some things in him that helped to make him Muhammad Ali. We get to meet him as Cassius.
Yes, it's a beautiful moment, and how it is transformative for all of them.
Yes.
And I mean, it was a very powerful, ending on a change is going to come. And that quote from Malcolm that destroyed me. I mean, all these men, they are truly titans. And you've been in rooms like that. You've been in rooms where you go, everyone in this room is the real thing. So you know how those dynamics play out for real.
You know how those dynamics play out for real, but you also know, Reggie, most of the times when we're in those rooms, we're also there are a lot of other eyes. The thing that's beautiful about this moment, there are no other eyes. So we really get to sit in that and feel that, and mm-hmm. feel the weight of what it means to be that.
Right, and they all are having these giant achievements on different wavelengths, and they get to critique each other's weak spots, which is, like you say, you can only happen in a closed room.
In an intimate space. And also the thing that I really grabbed me about this piece is how while the way they're walking towards a common goal is different, that they all can be right. And they're all different styles are necessary.
Yes.
You know,
They are all right. Exactly. How did you choose these 4 actors?
it was a process. You know, I was able to see quite a few actors, but there are a lot of great actors out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm one of those people that I've been saying this for years. As an actor, you feel like you are going out pursuing a role, but I feel like the role chooses the actor. Very rarely as an audience member have I seen something and it felt, I'm not saying it hasn't happened, but very rarely have I seen something, a piece that was a great story. So maybe it's better to say it that way. That I felt like that should have been another actor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, usually I'm not seeing the actor. If I'm not seeing the actor, if I am just, you know, just totally drawn in to the story, then it couldn't have been any other actor to play the role, whether it's them playing a real live human being, someone who's actually, you know, as that we know, or it's, you know, fictional character. I don't want to think, oh, I'm watching Kingsley Ben-Adir, or oh, I'm watching, you know, Aldous Hodge. I want to feel like I'm a fly on the wall, witnessing a conversation between Malcolm X and Jim Brown, and that's what those actors provided. All of those actors were willing to audition. There were conversations, you know, with actors that, you know, I wanted to come in, and whether it was them or their agents, they did not want to read any of the dialogue, and I respect that. But we're talking about Muhammad Ali, Sam Cooke, Malcolm X, and Jim Brown. So I'm not going to risk my career on what I hope you can do. I need to know.
Woo, boy! I'm so glad to hear you say it. Having been on both sides, I know that. You're like, I respect you. You got a body of work,
But
come on now. Come on.
You know, it would be different if, you know, it was for something that you've seen them play something similar to.
Right.
You know, but no. And the beautiful thing about all 4 of those actors is they jumped at the opportunity to show how sincere they were about honoring these legacies.
I loved it. And, you know, I truly believe it's a cliche, but I think it's really true. No small parts, only small actors. For example, the young lady who plays Sam Cooke's girlfriend.
Yes.
Wow. In one scene, I was like, whoa,
Cameron just loved her. Just
on fire. But the way she would shift moods and attitudes, but she's got beef and she's flirty. I mean, I'm like, okay, you're on the radar. Who you?
Yeah.
What?
She's fantastic. She's fantastic. And I'll tell a little secret. Nicolette Robinson, who played that role, is actually Sam Cooke, Leslie Odom Jr.'s wife.
Well, that's a power couple, boy. God.
Yeah.
She's
very talented, and just, you know, you put on the makeup and all of that, and then you put her on that set. It was almost like the Fontainebleau set was made for her. She just, you know what I mean? She was, and the film needed that because that particular scene at the Fountain Blue with Barbara, we weren't able to shoot that in a regular production. And we owed that scene, and we owed the scene with Sam and Cassius in the car in front of the liquor store.
Right.
So the coronavirus came and we weren't able to pick those up. We cut to, here we are picking those up finally. Wonderful production design. They were able to build this beautiful set. And Nicolette came and sat in the, well, first when I had this idea in my head, they're at the Fountain Blue. I wanted to have on a bathing suit because I love the bathing suits from the 60s. They're so, just iconic, and I just want that. So I was like, Nicolette, are you comfortable with that? She was like, absolutely. So when I go in and see her in the bathing suit, I'm like, amazing. And then Francine, our incredible wardrobe designer, made this shawl to go over it, and she put it on, and then she comes and sits at the vanity, and I'm just like, did I just transport to 1964? Is that happening right now? She just became, and
I'm so glad you mentioned Francine, who I love, and she's the secret hero of Boomerang, because she did costumes for me.
Wow, look at that, 6 degrees.
And so, when I saw her naming the credits, I was like, oh, well, okay, that explains that. Yeah, of course. Because she does that. She just does it every time. She knocks it out the park, like you said.
It makes it feel so, like, because when I called her, and I was like, Francine, it's not a lot of money, but and it is a period piece, but I want to send something to you if you're willing or interested. And I just gave her kind of like the log line. She's like, oh my God, absolutely. And you're directing. And she just, and she decided, yes, she would do it. And just, it gave me such a calm for this being my first time. I knew I did not have, that was something I did not have to fret over. I knew that Francine was going to bring it. And so when we are having our conversations, production designer and wardrobe design and DP, which, as you know, those 4 in your prep.
The whole thing.
If you can't be on the same page, you can end up with a visual disaster. And, there were just moments that Francine would drive that. And I'm so grateful for Francine.
I love it. From Mushroom Suit on Johnny Witherspoon to the period of Birth of a Nation to your movie. She does is knock it up the park. Yeah.
Yeah. And she, there was this one suit that we had seen Sam Cooke have on, this shiny suit. And I was like, I just love him in this suit. Do you think that it would be too much anywhere in the film? And she was like, absolutely not. And so what she went and did is got 4 different swatches of gray, shiny material, and just we did photos just of the swatches up against skin to see how that would land for Copa. And it was just great for me. Your first time out as a director, you're very quick to have an idea and then want to pull it back, not sure, is it? And if you're surrounded by people who want you to grow, who want to push you out, Francine was one. And then a lot of people there that did that for me, that if I would have a thought, she wouldn't let me let it go. She would, no, that's your idea and that's a great idea. Let's make it work.
Yeah. She's a positive person. She's talented, positive, so good. I'm gonna go back to the, again, smaller parts that just carried all the way. I'm gonna make sure I get his name right. Roderick, who played head of security for the
Lance, yes, Lance Reddick. Yes, Lance Reddick.
Oh my God. The minute he came on the screen, and every time he came on the screen, unbelievable.
And the thing about it is, like, there's another scene that was in the film with Lance and with Lance's characters, Kareem and Jamal, that as anyone that has had any involvement with film knows, it doesn't, not everything makes it. And so that scene didn't make it. And it's a lovely scene. It's a funny scene. It's a serious scene. It has a lot of different levels to it. But it didn't make it. And it was a really big scene for the Kareem character. And so I had to be the one to call Lance. Well, I could have not called him, but it would have, I know what it feels like as an actor to show up at a premiere and, you know, a lot of what you've done is cut. You know, it would have been nice to get the heads up. So, you know, I called him to tell him, and he was very disappointed. And, you know, I told him, I said, but your impact is so strong. But he was not really trying to hear that. So if you do run into Lance, you have to let him know that what I'm saying is true, that he, his presence is still just palpable. It's undeniable. And at times it's ominous. At times it's brotherly. At times he just did little things and little moments that were just brilliant. And I'm so glad that stood out for you.
Oh yeah. Well, if you spend any time around the nation, you know that presence. And when he poked his head in the door, I was like,
yeah,
what that is. And he maintained it beautifully. And I mean, plus he's just such a wonderful actor, period. So just another really welcome face in your wonderful film.
He was actually the first actor I cast.
See?
You know, because I just, you know, in reading the script, I'm like, ooh, someone like Lance would kill it. And the producers, they had already worked with him. And I was like, but do you think he'd be interested? And so we had a conversation. So he was the first casting.
So did you get calls from all the wonderful actors you work with over the years going, really? Now you making a movie, you ain't putting me down? I mean, did you get the guilt?
I got some. I've got some of those. I got some from actors that did actually come in and audition that, you know, felt strongly about their audition and, you know, wanted to ask what they did wrong or how could they improve. So some of those conversations were tough. Yeah. Because as an actor and as respect for the thespian community, I have to be honest and answer those questions. But that was tough, you know, and sometimes it didn't just come down to that it wasn't a great audition. It just wasn't the interpretation of that, that character or that icon that we're trying to capture, that I was trying to capture here in this moment, on this day, in this amount of hours. And you know, you know that as a director, some of that you are gonna you know, pull out of the actor or guide the actor towards or allow the actor to the space to play. But you also know that in some auditions, why it might be a good audition, you know that's not going to work for the entire project. So
it's brutal, and there are people who I can be around them and I can tell they're still mad, and I feel so terrible because they're wonderful actors and they're wonderful people, and I'm like, You know?
And sometimes it's not even sometimes it could be the physicality. Like, you know, when you're starting to look at your combination of actors, just eyes wise, you're like, that's going to put us in a difficult place, you know, throughout. And we're talking about four men that everyone knows so well.
Absolutely. Look, I think what you did with this movie is amazing. If this is where you're starting, I can't wait to see your next movie and your next movie. But I have to congratulate you again for Watchmen. I love that movie. I love that series so much. I didn't know if I told you. When I finished it, I wrote Damon a fan letter, which I've never done for anybody.
Wow.
I wrote Damon a fan letter because I have 50,000 comic books at home. I know the Watchmen graphic novel very well. When I heard he was doing what he was doing, I said, that feels like the most likely way to fail. And when I saw it, I was like, he made a masterpiece. And you were the central piece of that masterpiece, and you carried it incredibly well. Even though every performance and every actor was exquisite, you as the center of it was beyond beautiful. And I'm so glad you got what you deserved, that everyone got what they deserved in that piece. So I just really want you to keep this amazing balancing act of being a legendary actress, an amazing director, and you just get everything you deserve, because you deserve it all.
Thank you so much, Reggie. You know that means the world coming from you. Thank you.
I just call it as I see it. I'm grateful to be, that this is our era. And I say, oh yeah, Regina, I know her real good. We're cool. Because you really are an important artist for us. And that's why I was very happy to do this, very happy to celebrate you and continue to applaud you on your journey, because it's a beautiful, beautiful place you're going to.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I guess I'm not going there alone. So that's, I have so many people that by my side, yourself included, that I can look to my left and right. Like, we good? All right.
Exactly, and it means the world, right? Because you out here, because so many times there are moments in what we do where we are alone, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, I think I'm doing the right thing. I only got 40% information, but I have to make a decision with not knowing more things than not, right? Yeah. And there are moments in your life when no one understands the position I'm in right now, and I don't know the right choice, which is the situation of all four of those men.
Man, I was just about to say, which brings us back to one night. Mm-hmm.
One night. I mean, they all are just, okay, at the end of the day, I'm alone and making this. I mean, when Malcolm runs out of his house on fire with his kids, barefoot, baby's crying. I mean, that ripped my heart out. I'm like, can you imagine being a man? Your whole life you watching your life burn down.
Your whole life. And your whole life that already at that point was on uneasy ground, because you're giving it all for the betterment of the nation. And
right. Yeah, I mean, you took the risk, you transformed yourself from one thing to another thing, right? But that path didn't end, right? And it just kept going. And it's true for all those men. I mean, their path is, just never ended. Look, we're at an inflection moment in history right now. And there's a whole generation of men and women out here who are figuring out who they are and when they're going to take a stance and what are they willing to risk. So I hope your movie is a blueprint and an inspiration for all those young people who at an absurdly young age have to make life-changing decisions.
I hope so too. I hope that it is, I feel very strongly about art and how art can change the world. We have seen instances where it has made true change.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that this, along with a lot of other pieces out there and that are to come, will actually inspire true transformative change.
All right, let's do it. Bless you.
Bless you, Reggie. Thank you, Mill Valley.
Thank you, Mill Valley. I love it. I love that you are just expanding and growing and redefining it all. Golly, you're so young. You have so much left to do and say. It's incredible.
Oh, well, thank you. It'll be fun doing it together.
Yes, yes, yes. You got that right.